Chapter 16. My eyes popped open as I scurried from the bed. Hearing Mrs. Miller's voice had my heart racing along with my legs. Get it together, I thought as I raced around the room searching for a robe. I knew she couldn't see me through the phone line. But still. Thank you for returning my call, Mrs. Miller.
It's no problem. I was going to call you.
I stopped in my tracks. You were?
It seems I have a daughter-in-law I didn't know about.
Her voice was matter-of-fact and gave nothing away. Ah, so you've heard, I breathed. She must have been in contact with Ian or David. Is everyone okay? I've been so worried.
That's why I'm calling you.
Did you talk to David or Ian?
No, I can't get in touch with any of my sons or my daughter-in-law, Maya. And if you know Maya, you know that it's odd when she's not chattering your ear off.
Yep, I knew.
Since I can't pop around the corner and ask why they haven't responded to calls or emails, I hired a private detective to check on them.
Did the detective find anything?
He found out I have a daughter-in-law I didn't know I had, and my sons are missing.
Not all of them. Grayson is at his casino.
I figured as much. I heard his secretary doesn't let any calls through.
Fiona Watkins is the new assistant director. And you're right, she won't let any calls through. Mrs. Miller sighed.
I thought I taught my boys to look beyond lace and smiles. I think I failed them all.
Was that a jab at me? I shoved the thought away. Mrs. Miller, I called because I think you might be the only person who can help. There's something I want to show you. Do you think you can fly here? I wouldn't ask if I didn't think it was important.
The detective told me all the leads were dead ends. He's unable to continue unless we can find a new lead.
I have one.
I'll be right over.
When?
10 minutes. I flew in last night.
Meet me at the Tropical Rain Casino. Remy has the postcards I want to show you. Do you think we should call Gwen too?
Who's Gwen?
Ian's first and current wife. Believe me, I had no idea Ian was married.
The detective only came across your marriage record. If Ian is married to Gwen, which I doubt since the detective would have found some trace of her, then it wasn't a legal marriage.
Crap. I need to call my lawyer again, I thought. Give me 30 minutes and I'll meet you at the casino. When you arrive, ask a security officer for Remy. I politely ended the call and sent Remy a quick warning text before jumping into the shower.
Jet, I told you not to get Mrs. Miller involved.
Remy scolded. She called me, I said. She hired a detective and found me. I left out the part about how I initially called her. It seemed a moot point when she was going to call me anyway. Plus, the vein in Remy's neck was pulsing. Maybe she can help with the postcards. Remy grunted a curse and pulled out the stack from his desk drawer.
She might. I can't make heads or tails out of them. He's using numbers and letters. I looked for codes and GPS coordinates. I put them in chronological order and then in reverse. I even looked up information on African animals. Nothing.
I want to know why he felt the need to send them. Is he in trouble? Did he know something before it happened?
The Millers have their issues like all families, but they are also smart.
I know they're smart.
Not just smart. Clever.
Is there a point?
There's a reason behind everything they do. Everything.
And we're back to the postcards. Of course Ian sent them for a reason, but what is it?
To find the diamonds.
A feminine voice said from the doorway. Remy and I turned to find Mrs. Miller. It became quite apparent who the Miller boys resembled. From her gray eyes and dark hair to her tall, sleek stature, she was without a doubt their mother. Only a few fine lines around her eyes and mouth gave her age away. Otherwise, she was elegant and timeless. A beauty wrapped in expensive clothes with a respectable amount of fine jewelry. Mrs. Miller, thank you for coming. I'm Nadia Wolf, I said, crossing the distance to shake her hand. She held onto my hand firmly while studying me.
You mean Nadia Miller?
she finally said, releasing my hand. That should be cleared up soon, I muttered, tossing a glance at Remy for help. He moved around his desk and shook Mrs. Miller's hand.
I'm Remy Bourne. I worked for Grayson until a few months ago.
Mrs. Miller nodded.
I know who you are. Grayson has mentioned you in the past, and you're a subject that Maya loves to chatter about.
Remy's jaw twitched.
I'm sorry she makes me a topic of conversation. There really isn't anything about me worth talking about.
Mrs. Miller smiled slightly.
You gave my detective the slip several times. Apparently, there is something worth talking about, but I'm not here to put you on the spot,
she said, watching Remy's obvious discomfort.
I'm here because my sons are being held hostage.
I froze. Remy gaped. We watched Mrs. Miller as she crossed the room.
Do you mind if I sit? It's been a busy morning.
Of course,
Remy said with a thick voice. Can I get you anything? Did you eat? I asked, trying to be helpful. But the real question burst forth. What do you mean they're being held hostage? Where's Maya? She sunk into the chair and took a moment to compose herself before saying,
I was called this morning with ransom demands for Ian and David. The man didn't say anything about Maya.
What is he asking for?
Remy asked.
The Matahari necklace, or its equivalent in cash.
How are we going to come up with $15 million in cash? I asked. Mrs. Miller eyed me.
How do you know it's worth so much?
The Sierra Leone government agent told me. He said Ian stole it. Mrs. Miller shook her head.
Ian doesn't steal.
Whether or not he stole it, they think he has it.
Remy said.
Do you have any idea who called you with the ransom demand?
No. I was told to have the necklace or cash within 48 hours, or they will kill both of my sons,
she said as her voice cracked. I couldn't put my finger on it, but there was something about her that made me want to help, but not waste my breath with sympathetic words. She had an unyielding strength. Even though I saw glimpses of emotion, she acted businesslike. Perhaps that was her coping mechanism. The pit of my stomach rolled with nausea. I could only imagine what hers was doing.
Did they say anything about police involvement?
Remy asked.
If I try to find help, they will not hesitate to kill one of my sons.
Do you know where the necklace is?
Mrs. Miller shook her head.
I don't know.
Where does Ian live? I asked.
He doesn't have a home. He travels.
Are all his possessions inside a suitcase? I asked. She shrugged helplessly.
He loves the freedom.
A man who loves the freedom of living from a suitcase wouldn't need to steal such an expensive necklace, would he? The only clues were the postcards. I gathered the stack from the desk and handed them to Mrs. Miller. These are the postcards Ian sent. Remy and I have no idea what they mean. She flipped through the postcards, studying each one as if to imprint the image in her memory.
If Ian sent these, then he knew he was in trouble. As for the meaning, I'm not sure.
We've looked at every different angle trying to find a clue. We've come up short every time.
Remy paused, rubbing his head in thought.
We have 48 hours to come up with enough cash.
Or the necklace, I added.
Jet, with the looming deadline, I'm not worried about the damn necklace. Let's just give them the cash. Ian can sell the necklace when he's freed.
That's assuming he has it, I said.
He has it,
Mrs. Miller said.
I don't think he stole it, but these postcards lead me to believe he has it.
Either way, let's just get the cash and worry about the necklace later,
Remy said.
I don't suppose you have 15 million in your account, do you?
He was obviously speaking to Mrs. Miller. My account only has 200 earmarked for necessities, I thought dismally. Mrs. Miller gave a soft laugh.
I have plenty of money, but not nearly that much.
What about Mr. Miller? I asked. Actually, why wasn't he here?
I hold the accounts. Let's not worry about him at present.
We need to get in touch with Grayson. Only he will be able to get his hands on that much cash. Mrs. Miller, I'm afraid you're about the only person who may be able to reach him.
And if I can't?
Mrs. Miller asked.
Then we send in Nadia.
Remy stated with a gleam.
She doesn't look like much, but get her angry enough and she'll take on the entire casino barehanded.
I grimaced at the image. It wasn't barehanded, I muttered.
I almost forgot about the crowbar you swindled from the cab driver.
Anyway, I interrupted. Mrs. Miller, Remy can take you to Lost City. I'll work on solving the postcard riddle.
You don't want to come with us?
She's banned from the casino.
Remy explained. He might have lifted the ban, but he got mad again.
You married his brother.
Remy said dryly. Remy, just go. You're wasting time. Mrs. Miller stood and gave me one last studied glance before following Remy.
Don't touch anything, Jet.
He yelled from the hallway.
Why do you call her Jet?
I heard Mrs. Miller ask.
I'm sure you'll have the occasion to find out.
Was his answer before their voices were swallowed by the casino. She will not find out anything of the sort, I promised. I was going to help and be on my best behavior. The Miller boys have seen me at my worst. I was not going to let Mrs. Miller see my monstrous faults as well. I stared at the postcards and swore. How could this be happening? Are they being fed? The sickening thought of torture scratched through. I shook it off. I have to focus on the cards. I laid them out by date. Since Remy and I both studied them in that order, I took a quick second glance. Nothing. I reread the first postcard.
My sweet wife, I had to leave. I'll be home soon and make things right. Yours, Ian.
As I studied it, the word home looked bigger. But why would that be? Maybe he just wanted to emphasize that he was coming home. What home? We don't share a home. Is he saying he wants to? Once again, I found myself with more questions than answers. Arranging them by date wasn't the answer. I am Ian, I told myself. I know my time is limited, and someone is after the ridiculously expensive necklace that I may or may not have stolen. I probably hid it somewhere so no one can find it. In case I get caught, I'll send clues so someone can help. This person married me while drunk, so she's not too smart. I should make the clues easy, so easy a child could figure it out. The role play didn't help. I only felt stupider. Wait, more stupid. My head fell into my hands as I thought. I really hoped Mrs. Miller could speak with Grayson. I turned the cards over to look at the African animals. I smiled at the giraffe with its long neck. What would life be like as a giraffe? I wondered. A heck of a lot simpler than mine. Although I wouldn't want to be chased around by a hungry lion. Focus! I paced around the room, feeling like a caged lion. I pulled out my phone and dialed Caleb.
Hey, kitten.
He greeted. I heard the clicking of shuffling chips in the background.
I was just going to sit down at the table.
Go ahead. Call me later, I said.
Hang on.
He said, halting my finger from pressing end.
Did you need something?
Not really. I just wanted to talk something through and thought you might be free to lend an ear. I'll call Frankie.
Where are you?
I'm at Tropical Rain.
Doesn't Remy work there now?
Yes, I'm in his office.
What's going on?
Caleb asked. Don't worry. Everything will be sorted out eventually. Hopefully within the 48-hour deadline.
You don't sound right. What's going on? You're not thinking of backing out, are you?
This has nothing to do with our wager.
Does it have anything to do with the amazing kiss last night?
No, but it was an amazing toe-curling kiss. And then he left so our wager could decide our fate instead of the kiss. It was as frustrating as these damn postcards.
Hang on,
he said. Muffled voices asked him to join the table or give up his spot.
I'm in. Take the blinds from my stack.
Caleb, you can go. I'm sure Remy will be back soon.
I want to know what's going on.
They're taking your blinds. You're losing money as we speak.
Kitten, it's just a blind. Gunther is sitting at the table. I'll have him wiped out by the time the blind reaches me again.
Poor Gunther, I thought. He'd be wiped clean of 100 grand or more. However, Gunther was so rich, 100 grand was chump change. I'll try to be quick so you can have more playtime with Gunther, I said. Let's say you are a child and you have to solve a riddle. The only clue you have is a stack of postcards with animals. On the front is the animal, and on the back is either a letter or number. How would you solve it?
Is there an alligator?
I think so. Why?
Is for alligator. You always start with the alligator.
He explained the simple concept only a moron wouldn't figure out. And as leader of the morons, I grinned. This could be the answer to breaking the code.